Morning guys, so today is Wednesday the 9th of June, flaming June, alright. The sun is scorching, it's been absolutely boiling the last few days. As promised, I'm going to do something to the car today, and I think I'm going to start with changing the oil. I like to get that done once a year at least. I don't always change the oil filter, I change that probably every couple of years. Yeah, I know some people say you do it all the time, but this car gets more oil changes than my modern car does, I'll tell you that now. That doesn't really do the mileage, but never mind. I just like to get it done. And on this one, I'm going to be changing the oil and the filter. I might get round to do something else, like have a look at these brakes, have a look at the rear brakes, just up the handbrake because that's coming up now pretty high, and when I put it on a couple of clicks it brings the pedal up, so that definitely needs adjusting. I also need to grease them front trunnions or swivel pins, whichever you call them. I always call them trunnions, but whether I do that today I'm not sure. Like I say, it's very hot. Really got a sort of short window in the day to do this, so what we get done, we get done. I've probably said it before, whether you service your car or not, it's up to you of course, but one thing I would say do is make sure you do grease your trunnions or swivel pins. You don't do anything else, just make sure you do that. Otherwise what you'll find is one of will snap and you'll have your front wheel go underneath the car. I've had it happen to me before, when I've seen it happen a few times before when I was on breakdown. And actually the one what happened to me was not on a Morris Minor, it was on a lake wheel. Anyway, so just make sure you do that, you don't do anything else. There was a time, probably back in the 80s, early 80s, when I used to service my car, I always used to buy oil filter, air filter, a set of points, a set of plugs and a condenser. That was kind of a common thing to do, but with this it's got electronic ignition module, so I don't need to touch that. But spark plugs were really cheap, but now they seem really expensive, so unless they're burnt away or looking really bad or breaking down, then I don't bother to change them, I'll just give them a clean. So at some point I'll be cleaning the plugs as well. Unless of course, like I say, if they're burnt or whatever, then I'll order some new ones, but plugs seem to last a lot longer nowadays as well. Oh, and I did notice this morning, I stopped somewhere, that's all right, I stopped at work to open the gates and I got out and I'd left the indicator on, the left signal. The little light on the end of the stalk's flashing fine. Opened the gate, the front one was flashing fine. For some reason, I thought I'd just go and have a look at the back, and the back one was out, so there's no indication that nothing's working. Sometimes with cars they'll flash fast or something like that, you know that there's something wrong. With this, it was just in the car, the stalk was just flashing as normal. But hey, yeah, so that's something to keep an eye on. time. I'll be sorting out getting this oil change done. Catch you in a minute. Right then, here we are. Let's get the bonnet open. Everything's looking good. As you can see, it's quite high off the ground, so I can drain this oil out of her without even putting her up on any ramps. I sometimes do, but I think today I'll just do it where it is. Right, let's have a look. Right, there's the oil filter we got. Hopefully it's the right one. Let's have a look at the oil. There we go, this is the oil I use. Just cheap oil, Wilco's. The reason why I use this cheap oil, just 2050 oil is what you need. Good for petrol and diesel, but the main reason I use this is because I change the oil quite regularly on my car, as you know, and there's no point in putting expensive oils in it for the mileage we do anyway, so this will do fine. Plus she burns a little, she loses a little, so I can continue to keep topping her up. This will do fine. Right, I need to find something to catch the oil in. Rightio, so we found a spanner outfit, and I've got myself an old washing up bowl which I use to drain the oil. So first of all, let's make sure that it all fits underneath okay. That's fine. Get this undone. I might have to put the camera down for this a second. There we go. As you can see, it's not too bad on the bottom, so it hasn't lost a lot of oil. Just a normal place, a little bit at the back. One of the reasons for that is because there's no proper seal between the engine and the gearbox, so you'll always get a little bit of a leak there unless you buy a kit and change it. But who's worried about that, eh? As long as it's not pouring out. Obviously Phoebe's nice and hot because we're spin out in it, so that should pour out of here nice and good. And the good thing is it's not windy today, so it's not gonna blow everywhere. Oops. One thing I don't like to do is lose the drain plug into the bowl, but I have on this one occasion, but never mind. Let's let that drain out. A good thing to do is remove this cap to let the air go in. Oh look, I've got a little bit of sludge there. Some people might immediately worry head gasket's gone, but what it is short journeys, damp mornings, you will get a bit of that build up. I'll just clean it and away we go. It's been like that for the last 3 years and I ain't going to worry about it. So there we go, look, quick wipe round, everything's good. Yeah, every Morris Minor I've ever owned has had a little bit of mayonnaise around the top. I won't worry about it too much, not on these cars, especially if you do little short runs in the mornings like I do. That will build up, but I'm not going to worry about it. Anyway, let's get on with what we're doing. I'm going to remove this air filter. I haven't got a new one. Just going to give it a clean out, just check everything's good. go. Look, you can see a little bit there where it draws it through the breather. Everything's working fine. You can see the water, look. But you think about it, every day you start up in the morning when it's all damp, apart from going down the road pipe, but coming out of the top, the steam rise, where's it going to go? Exactly. Right, like I'm talking about this mayonnaise, some people will say, oh, the head gasket's gone. Like I say, it's been like that for years. Every Morris Minor I've ever owned has been the same. I don't worry about it. Just take the cap off. It's a little hot. That's okay. See the water level? It's fine. If your waters keep going down, there's somewhere it's going. If there's no leak, then it could be a sign of a head gasket. There's such head gaskets can go in so many different ways. You can get a blow out of the side of the head, or you can get a blow into the water jacket where you'd get it bubbling over into your radiator, or of course that could draw the water in where you'd get steam out of your exhaust all the time. You'd know if your head gasket is gone. Right, let's go on with this oil change. See how the oil's doing. Yep, it's almost stopped now. So the next thing to do, as we're changing the filter this time, is get to the filter, which is not a spin-on filter on these. Some cars have a spin-on filter on the side, you can just spin it off. You can get a kit to change this over to a spin-on, but I haven't. I'm not worried about it. So to get this one off, there's a nut on the bottom of this bowl, and the filter sits inside here, and there'll be a seal in here and a rubber seal at the bottom where the bolt screws on. I'll show you from underneath. Can we see? Probably just. There's the bottom of the bowl, the nut there. So you undo that, that bowl will come down with the filter inside. So we'll give that a couple more seconds a couple more minutes to drip out, and I'll put that bung back in. So let's get on with that. Right, I've fished the bung out of the oil, and if you look, you see it's got like a copper washer which crushes and stop it from leaking. You can renew them, but this one doesn't look too bad. And when I bolt it up, I'll just nip it up tight. I don't use a torque wrench, and then if I see it leaking, I'll just give it another quarter of turn. Sometimes you always get a little bit of seepage, but then again, can depend on your preference. Some people will use some sort of sealer on the thread, some will put some tape around, but I'll just nip it up, that'll be fine. Right, look at that oil. Nice and black. It's only a year, so definitely needs changing. You can smell a slight smell of petrol, so that'll be breaking that oil down, and then that'll stop protecting the engine and let the engine wear. So that's another reason why you change your oil. So I'll get rid of this oil now in one of my drums. Right, I've emptied the oil out of the bowl. I haven't cleaned the bowl out yet because I'm going to be removing this filter, and the filter housing, which I show you, is here. There's the nut. So we'll get a spanner and loosen that off. I'll put the bung back in, tightened it up. So I'm going to need my hands here to do this, but basically loosen this nut and this canister will come down. Right, there's the filter from out of the car. looks like a canister, and the filter is inside, you can see there, and obviously there's the oil coming out of what is in there. So that can be quite a messy job on these, changing the oil filter. So it might be best if you did jack your car up, but I've done this a few times now, so I know what's going to happen. That's why I use this nice big bowl. Rightio. I'll put this old blanket out here I always use for oily work, because obviously that's going to drip a bit from the housing whilst I change this filter. So we'll clean this up and we'll get the new filter out, check it's the right one, and get it back together. Just check the oil filters are the same. Yes, that's good. Get a new seal which will go round the top of this and up into the casing. So we'll pull the old one out in a second and pop that one in, and that's basically it. Right, I'll just put it all together so we're ready to go. If you look at this stem that goes up, it's got a rubber O-ring around the bottom that sits in there, so that'll go into the bottom of the canister like so. Then will be a washer. These gloves are a bit 8-round gloves, but should do really messing about with oil. So there's a washer, then the spring, then second washer, which should go over there, and then this bigger washer which will sit on the top of your air filter there, oil filter. So that goes on next, and then of course your oil filter, which when you bolt it up, the spring will hold it tight against the top part and let the oil filter through it. Right, I've changed the oil ring underneath, which I'll show you earlier, so I'll try and get this back together now. Right then, that's back in place, as you can see. It's not till you fit one of these that you realise how easy the newer type cartridges are, where you just spin them on, spin them off. But it's a simple idea, but it works. Right, so we'll put some oil in now, fire it up, let it run a bit, and we'll check for leaks. Yeah, just having a quick look underneath. It's been welded a few times before, not by me I might add. I have done some welding on this car underneath one of the wheel arches. I think that was that side, but I didn't do this. Although it's a little bit rusty here and there, it looks okay. I know I did see before when I done the gearbox, there was a couple of places what might need a bit of welding this year, but we'll have a look when I jack it up to do the swivel pins, trunnions. Just looking at the tyres. Look at the other side. Yeah, all's looking okay under the front at the minute. Let's get some oil in. Oil in. That's not all I've put in. I had another bottle which was about quarter to half full, which I've put in already. Let's have a little check on the dipstick. Give it a wipe. Drop it in. I like to spin it round a bit so I can see what's going on. Look at that, it's about halfway between the two lines, which is good. That'll probably drop down when I start it up, because that'll go round and fill up the filter. But I always keep Phebe just above the bottom line. One, because she loses a little oil, and two, she burns a bit, and the more oil you got in, the more pressure it'll build up and push it out. So that's the reason for that. Righty then, so we'll get the filter back on and we'll fire it up. There's the filter housing on with the filter in. Back onto the cap. I'm going to be moving this year. I'm going to put it onto the cover and get another cap. I mean, that's working fine. I will get round to it. Spilt a little bit of oil everywhere here putting it in, but that's just me. Well, let's go have a quick check underneath. Can't see any leaks, so we'll fire it up, check for leaks when it's running. Right, let's get into the car. Right, so the oil light should come on, and when the pressure builds up that should go off, and hopefully that should go off quite quickly. One, that will show the oil pressure's alright, and two, it'll show the oil's gone round. There we go. The oil light is still on at a second, and now it's gone off. So that means the oil's gone round. Which is good, so we'll leave that on and go and check for leaks. Can't see anything leaking, which is all good. Let that run for a couple of minutes. It's a good way of checking whether your oil pressure is good. Little tip. Remember, anything I say is just what I do. That's not law, that's not educating you, I'm just telling you that's what I do. Right, so if I switch Phebe off, I'll give it a couple of seconds, let the oil pressure fade away. We're just talking about fade away. If you can see my bonnet, look, definitely in need of a good clean up. I just don't get round to it, and this sun ain't going to do it any good. Rightio, so obviously the oil light's on. See, it goes out immediately. That means the pressure is immediately high, and switch the oil switch pressure to tell it that you got oil pressure. So that's all good. So the next thing is to do is to check my oil level, because I should have gone down a little bit where I filled up that filter housing. See, on the spin-on filters you can actually fill them up with oil before you spin them on, but with this particular one, obviously with the bolt through the bottom, the oil would just pour out. So there's only one way of doing it, is starting it up and let the filter fill up with oil. But we'll let the oil run down inside the engine, give it a couple of seconds and we'll check it. Put the dipstick out and wiped it. Let's shove it in. Can't find me all. Like I say, I always like to spin it around, make sure that it gets it all round. As you can see there, look, it's gone towards the bottom line. I'm just going to put a little tiny bit in because I like to keep it in that direction, and that's purely where I've gone round and filled up the filter housing, and there's probably still some oil running down inside the engine. Okay guys, so I've just rechecked the oil level, that's where we want it. The bad thing now is, yeah, I've got to clear up all the mess I've made, clean the bowl up and stuff so that it's all ready for next time and I don't get any oil about in the garage. And then the good bit comes, I'm going to go for a test drive. Got to have a test drive, ain't you? No matter what you do, you need a test drive. Right, let's get the bonnet down. Yeah, she's definitely fading. That's his son doing that. By the way, these marks on the door here, that's me when it hits this wall. It's not too bad where it is now, but some days I scrape it on the wall. Naughty me, eh? Never mind. Good job, I don't have to worry too much about it. So we'll go on this test drive. Just go around the block, a little test route. I like to go when I've done any work on the car. Not too far. We'll stop somewhere on the way, just check there's no oil pouring out. Might get the usual bit of oil mark, but I won't worry about it. So let's go. For you guys who don't know, Phebe is every day. I use it almost every day for backwards and forwards to work. Sometimes at the weekend, visit a car, just go out for a ride somewhere. You just never know. Come on, baby. Now they've just recently done the stone chips to the left. I think they're doing it straight ahead now. It's only a short while on this road, so I'll go left. I wanted to check what it's like, and I've just reminded myself when I put the indicator on, man, I need to check that rear wall. I'm right where I work at the moment, just over the head chair as it works. As you can see, it's not far back to my house. It's the normal way now, which I go backwards and forwards to mine. It's not far at all. But like I say, I'm going to pull over in a minute. Just make a left here. I keep really close to the two left gears. Massive loads. Ah, here's as good a spot as any. Just pull up here. I'll leave it running. Pop the bonnet. I've got my other camera, my little GoPro session. Really handy for when you go to shows and things, just to carry it in your pocket and people hardly see it. Not that it matters, but I know it. Right, I'm now going to check. Body, like I said, I've left it running. Might need some air in them tyres, look. Right, I can see the filter. I'm not sure if you're going to see it on the camera, but there's no oil running down the filter. And I'll just get down on the floor. Nothing dripping down from the bottom of the filter, and nothing dripping away from the sump plug. Got the little bit of oil down the back of the sump where I always get a little bit of oil. So that's nothing to worry about. I'm really happy with that. And I can see here where, yeah, I might give that a little bit of a scrape down and a paint up when I get the wheels off. Just on this chassis leg. But we will see at a later date. So all's good. Right, let's continue on the journey home. Right, so we're back in the car. We'll just continue this little test drive home. And if you can remind me to check this indicator bulb in the rear when we get back, I much appreciate it. day. Now we've got a way. It's almost 2 months away from the car. But there's always plenty of time. Within the next couple of weeks, I'll get some more jobs done, that's for sure. Another thing is, if you follow my other channel, this Sunday the Ace Calf ride is on. So should be meeting up with the Harley Club Norfolk, get the fat bob out and going out with them. The ride to the Ace Calf. I'm looking forward to that. Something else I noticed about this old car, stock cars. A lot of people will respect you and give you more room and let you out at junctions. You get one or two who don't want an old car stuck in front of them, but majority of people just want to see them. It's all good. Right, not far now. Just down here, this bungalow in front of me now, on the left, up the drive you probably wouldn't see it. No, it's got an MG. Don't know the guy, I've waved to him a couple of times, but I'll probably get to speak to him one day. Right, we're back again. I'll just pull over where I stopped. I left my drip tray up there just in case, which I normally do anyway. I'll just pull up here. What's that? Check that light. Thank you. I'll do that now. And I'll catch you guys in the next video. Bye for now.